That night, a cold wind is blowing. The enemies march silently towards Geneva, carrying big and heavy ladders, trying to stay as quiet as possible. You have to remember that at that time, the city was surrounded by huge walls, which you can still see parts of today from the Place Neuve.
Having crossed the Arve River Bridge, the soldiers gather at 2 o'clock in the morning at Plain Palais, just in front of the walls of Geneva. They are ready to climb the walls and surprise the Genevans during their sleep. Fortunately, a Geneva patrol officer hears some noise and finds himself nose to nose with the Savoyards who are already climbing the ladders. Isaac Mercier, a brave Genevan, cuts the rope holding the harrow of the Port Neuf entrance, which crashes down, preventing the enemy to invade the city. The tocsin of the St. Peter Cathedral, which we hope you already visited, starts ringing loudly to warn the folks. The citizens, now awakened, grab their weapons and rush outdoors, still in their pyjamas, to repel the assailants. The battle rages between the Savoyards and the Genevan, who fight with the energy and the courage of despair. A good number of newcomers to Geneva were also amongst the fighters. While the battle takes place close to the Port Neuf, everything is calm and peaceful near the river Rhône.
Mother Royaume, who lives above the Porte de la Monnaie, is preparing in a large cooking pot a tasty vegetable soup that will be eaten at dawn. The noise of her stirring the soup and that of the torrential river Rhône covers the battle noises and the sound of the cathedral's tocsin. Suddenly, she hears shouting and runs to a window. With a lantern, she sees a man, all dressed in black, who carefully advances very slowly and silently below the streets. Mother Royaume runs into the kitchen to fetch the heavy cooking pot. She throws on his head the pot full of boiling soup. The man falls down yelling of pain and agonizes.
Ok, on peut arrêter là.
Ah, j'ai peur.
Non,
C'est pas du tout ça.
C'est nous.
Ça ne va pas avec le texte.
On a voulu reconvertir la vidéo sans le son et du coup on a coupé.
Ah, ok.
Ok,
C'est pas très grave.
Steven, quand t'es sur le bois, c'est ok.
Ah,
Il t'a poussé.
ouais, ok.
Ouais, c'est juste pour le son.
Ouais.
Il faut vraiment penser à, quand vous lisez le texte, à faire en sorte que la voix
Elle aille direct.
Donc,
Ok.
elle aille sur la
There.
capsule du micro. Ok.
You should make a real stop.
Oui, on va. Mais
If you see that,
c'est juste.
because that's the thing.
That's the thing, I can't keep up with the
Okay.
timing.
Et comme vous
you know.
étiez
It's
Juste
here.
un
là.
peu décentré,
Yeah,
un peu
no,
reculé,
yes.
Ouais.
en fait vous
It's
avez
just,
presque
I
meilleur
read
temps
it
de vous
and I
rapprocher
Oh, but
presque
look around.
You see what I mean?
proche de la ligne blanche et puis d'être un peu...
De travers.
It's okay.
C'est pas le dernier texte que tu nous as envoyé là.
Ah ouais?
ça sera pas mal.
Ça change rien.
Non, bah c'est juste qu'elle est.
Mais on n'a pas
Ok.
changé les textes elles-mêmes. Non.
Qu'est-ce qu'il y a?
Non,
On
sorry.
n'était pas bon sur le timing. Hein.
Yeah, I
Non,
want
le
to
timing
fast.
c'était tout faux. Donc en fait, regarde, you have there the timing.
Yeah.
This is when.
2:18.
Yeah, even it's
Yeah.
2:18.
So I have to
but
just slow down when I
but
read.
so
That's it.
what I wanted to say is that the place where you can make like a real stop is here, because you're cutting completely, changing. Ils sont déjà off. Comme d'hab. Ah, ça c'est ma voix. On adore. I forget the.
Ouais, c'est même pas à
Back.
moi. C'est les feuilles de brouillon que j'ai trouvées.
C'est Petit Patam.
Non, c'est Théo.
Elle est où ma.
The first one. number
Ah
one.
non, ici. Here.
No.
Here.
Yeah, it's fast.
Si solennel.
Bon. Attention à la vidéo, 3, 2, 1.
On December 12, 1602, the darkest night of the year, the Duke Charles-Emmanuel of Savoy decides to launch an attack on Geneva, an independent and prosperous republic in the middle of Europe and birthplace of the Reformed religion under the leadership of Calvin. The Duke's goal is to take back the city, make it his capital, and reintroduce the Catholic faith. He's also convinced that his troops will come back with the famous gold held in the Geneva vaults. That night, a cold wind is blowing. The enemies march silently towards Geneva, carrying big and heavy ladders, trying to stay as quiet as possible. You have to remember that at that time, the city was surrounded by huge walls, which you can still see parts of today from the Place Neuve.
Having crossed the Arve River Bridge, the soldiers gather at 2 o'clock in the morning at Plain Palais, just in front of the walls of Geneva. They are ready to climb the walls and surprise the Genevans during their sleep. Fortunately, a Geneva patrol officer hears some noise and finds himself nose to nose with the Savoyards, who are already climbing the ladders. Isaac Mercier, a brave Genevan, cuts the rope holding the harrow of the Porte Neuve entrance, which crashes down, preventing the enemy to invade the city. The tocsin of the Saint-Pierre Cathedral, which we hope you already have visited, starts ringing loudly to warn the folks. The citizens, now awakened, grab their weapons and rush outdoors, still in their pyjamas, to repel the assailants. The battle rages between the Savoyards and the Genevans, who fight with the energy and the courage of despair. A good number of newcomers to Geneva were also amongst the fighters. While the battle takes place close to the Porte Neuve, everything is calm and peaceful near the river Rhône.
Mother Royaume, who lives above the Porte de la Monnaie, is preparing in a large cooking pot a tasty vegetable soup that will be eaten at dawn. The noise of her stirring the soup and that of the torrential river Rhône covers the battle noises and the sound of the cathedral's tocsin. Suddenly, she hears shouting and runs to a window. With a lantern, she sees a man, all dressed in black, who carefully advances very slowly and silently on the street below. Mother Royaume runs into the kitchen to fetch the heavy cooking pot. Ouais, j'étais trop rapide.
C'est bon?
Non. Désolé. She throws on his head the pot full of boiling soup. The man falls down, yelling of pain, and agonizes. Dame Piaget, another memorable figure of the escalade, pushes a heavy wardrobe behind her door to barricade herself from the Savoyards. The story tells that the strength of several men was needed the next day to put it back in place.
Downtown, the brave Genevois are still fighting the enemy with a fierce will to win. A lucky cannon shot hits the ladders. They crumble, taking down with them every soldier. Eventually, the Genevois repel the enemy out of the city. On the morning of December the 12th, the battle is over. Geneva and its inhabitants are finally safe. Filled with great happiness, the Genevois celebrate the victory and walk on the ramparts of the city where a scaffold is raised and where the prisoners will be hanged. The legend tells that Théodore de Bèze, a very deaf 83-year-old disciple of Calvin, slept peacefully during the battle and became aware of what had happened only when he saw the executioner hang the prisoners and traitors the next morning. Since that day, we, Genevois, celebrate religiously this event, which ensured the independence of our city by dressing up in costumes and breaking a chocolate cauldron, which you will see later.
On va en direct à ce moment-là.
D'accord,
On a
ok.
sorti de la vidéo, on
Ouais.
va renvoyer ce plan-là. Donc,
D'accord. Donc en fait, il faut qu'on lâche nos papiers et
Tout de
qu'on-
suite.
Voilà.
Tout de suite.
Ok.
D'accord.
Now, what is the escalade for us?
On était un peu rapide, mais
On était rapide, c'est ça que je veux te dire.
Ouais.
En fait, fais une vraie coupure en tous les paragraphes.
Yeah.
Because all the paragraphs, like, if you make a small cut between all of them, I think we're good.
Yeah.
Et toi, t'as la partie qui est casse-pied parce que toi, il y a un bout qui est hyper lent.
Ouais.
C'est pour ça que t'as les deux temps normalement.
Oui, non, j'ai. C'est pour ça que j'attendais la vidéo pour que ça passe.
Julie, tu dis quoi au début? 11 ou 12? décembre.
La nuit du 11.
C'est la nuit du
C'est la nuit du
11 au
11 au
12.
Ok. Donc moi je peux dire what happened in the night of 11 to 12 December.
Yes. Enfin, d'un coup, tu m'as fait peur. Je me
On
suis
va
dit,
remettre nos masques là.
je sais pas, est-ce qu'on se trompe?
Non, parce qu'après, moi, je dis la nuit, le matin du 12 décembre, la bataille est terminée.
Bon, le film, ça va?
Le film, ça va.
Ok, on fait la deuxième partie, la partie où...
Ouais. Mais du coup, on fait la fin.
Ouais, on peut faire la fin du film.
Comme ça, on voit comment on fait la transition. Du coup, us, when we finish, I think straight after, it's this. It's this, and you stand somewhere where Steven can get out of the frame and you can walk
Ah ouais, moi
in
aussi.
on. Voilà.
Faut faire gaffe quand vous vous croisez.
Passe.
Vous êtes à moins de 1
Yeah, that's fine. I'm gonna just be
Oui, mais eux, ça, ils le voient pas au niveau de la... Parce qu'il y a quand même la profondeur.
Non, mais vous ne pouvez pas vous croiser, c'est-à-dire qu'il faut penser que celui qui va venir là, qui va parler, une fois qu'il a parlé,
Ah, il va devant.
Ouais, on
il
part
sort
là-bas.
du cadre. Et puis vous arrivez derrière.
Ouais.
Il faut vraiment penser à ça.
Ouais.
C'est important.
Ouais, c'est que nous, en fait,
Yeah, we just stand here.
we are here,
And we just come here.
and we come here.
C'est qui parle
And
en
then we
premier
just-
C'est moi. En fait, moi, je continue, je pose la question.
C'est pour ça qu'elle est devant.
Le deuxième, c'est
Steven, c'est exprès.
parce que nous, on avait fait exprès un chemin de fuite pour éviter justement aux gens de se croiser. Donc je préconise que le premier qui parle, c'est le premier qui s'en va, donc vous devriez intervertir.
Ok,
la place.
ça on peut possible.
Si ça vous
Ah
dérange.
ouais, non.
Comme ça, vous parlez.
Ouais.
Ouais, mais du coup, moi je passe devant la caméra.
Mais en fait,
Non, je pose la
Il faut
question.
pas vous mettre,
Non, non.
Il répond la
il faut pas
question.
vous mettre devant les lumières en fait parce que sinon on
D'accord.
va pas avoir les contres. Donc voilà, je sais que c'est un petit peu
Pas de
compliqué,
soucis.
mais voilà.
Faut juste qu'on...
En fait,
Bah,
moi, je pose la question, qu'est-ce que ça représente pour toi l'escalade? Il répond, moi, je redis ma petite version, et après, nous, on part.
Non, mais en fait, ouais, mais c'est pour ça que je pense qu'en fait, le mieux, c'est que
Alors,
si
le
ça vous
mieux,
dérange
c'est
pas,
que
c'est
vous
qu'on parte en
partiez-
triangle. En fait, on part en triangle. Vu qu'il n'y aura
Oui, oui.
que nous deux, vu qu'il n'y aura qu'un changement,
Oui, il n'y a que vous deux, plus Monsieur Salman et Mme Zoli. Donc c'est pas très
mais
grave.
c'est après. C'est
Oui,
nous,
c'est
c'est
après.
après.
Mais ce que je veux dire par là, c'est qu'il faut penser que nous, aujourd'hui, on n'a pas 1m50 si vous avez le masque. Si vous n'avez pas de masque. Vous comprenez?
Ouais, mais du coup, nous on partira par là.
C'est pour ça que je comprends pas
Puis
pourquoi.
on se sépare, mais oui, il faut juste qu'on soit loin.
Et ne pas se croiser.
Voilà, mais ce que je veux dire, c'est que si Louise est là, que Steven est là, donc Louise dit quelque chose, Steven dit quelque chose, Louise dit quelque chose, Louise sort ici, Steven sort ici.
Mais si vous êtes devant le projecteur, ça ira pas. Donc, il faut vraiment sortir.
Oui, non, excusez-moi.
Puis,
Du coup, alors je suis là, Louise sort ici, Steven, même chose de l'autre côté. Au même moment, Dinara et moi qui sommes pas devant les lampes, mais le pluie là.
ouais, vous serez devant les lampes. Le mieux, ça serait quand même de venir là, des chaussures.
D'accord.
Ok. Et au moment où elle sort, il faut attendre qu'elle soit à peu près là pour que vous le rentriez, même si, ben voilà,
Ah, tant pis,
vous venez dans le
cut.
cadre.
Tant pis.
Parce que cette partie-là, on est pressé parce que vous vouliez intervenir. Et...
Oui, nous on voulait que ce soit un peu une... Ah, pour moi c'est plutôt ça. Ah non, pour moi
Ouais.
c'est plutôt ça.
Donc là, il faut plus imaginer par deux personnes disent ce qu'elles ressentent et après les deux suivantes disent ce qu'elles ressentent.
Ouais, mais après on peut partir en séparé, c'est-à-dire que moi je dis mon truc, quand je lance Louise, Dinara vient et moi je suis en train de partir, donc du coup Dinara arrive quand Louise est toujours là.
Ah ouais,
Et
on fait ça.
ensuite, tu vois, tac,
C'est ça.
comme
Ah
ça il y a
ouais,
tout.
on fait en 15 on s'en
Ouais.
Ouais, c'est pas bête.
Donc
Bah,
à
ça
la
fait,
limite,
ça
vous
fait.
restez là où vous êtes. Quand Louise part, toi tu viens. Steven.
C'est l'inverse, c'est moi je pars, Dinara arrive,
Ouais.
ensuite Louise part et Juliette arrive.
C'est ça.
C'est ça.
Donc c'est que vous allez derrière.
Et donc,
pour
nous,
ça,
on
ça
sera
marche
là.
la question.
Ça marche, c'est pas mal.
Ça marche,
Du
ça
coup,
marche.
vas-y, alors faites-le qu'on
Ouais,
essaie.
juste par. Non,
Non, dis n'importe quoi, Louise.
Ouais.
Bah, qu'est-ce que ça veut dire? Enfin, on le dit, non?
Oui, oui, vas-y.
But what does the escalade really mean to you, Steven?
For me, the escalade is all about being with the family and being within generation, sharing kind souvenir. And what about you, Louise?
For me, it's the annual run through the old town, which is... pardon, je sais plus ce que je dis. Voilà.
Voilà.
For me, the escalade is all about the parade of 1602 Company that parades through the town and ends in front of St. Peter's Cathedral with a big picolet fire.
Je vais devenir, pardon. And for me, I would say that it's all about the children that go to school dressed in their favorite costume that they're doing in honor of all the Genevans that fought in their pajamas. And now, just before singing our traditional song with you all, we would like to thank Gabrielle Lodzinski very much for the beautiful drawings that you saw during our presentation, which were made by her husband some years ago for the same presentation. Oh, sorry, her uncle. Ah, je pensais que c'était son mari. Pardon. Sorry. One of her. Ah, c'est son grand-père. Her grandfather. Oh, bah, vous faites bien de me dire. J'avais aucune idée, pardon. C'était logique pour moi qu'il y ait eu un lien. Oups. Alors, her grandfather. Sûr?
Est-ce que quelqu'un peut l'appeler juste pour être sûr?
Bon, je peux aussi dire for the beautiful drawings that she.
For their support in the creation of the video, and then it's like it's so vague. I mean, it's everyone.
Yeah, but I'm thinking especially Gabrielle because she's the one who gave us.
It's actually, yeah.
No, but they.
Et ensuite, tu annonces le
Et après, je dis, and now we're going to sing our tradition. Just before singing our traditional song, we want to thank, and then we say, and now let's all together sing the Sekeleno, and then I don't know what happens.
Ensuite, il y a le chant qui joue le chant.
Am I here?
Toi, tu chantes pas. C'est l'orchestre du Grand Théâtre, le chœur du Grand Théâtre. Et sur l'écran, on voit que le texte. Et on entend la musique, le chant et le texte.
Nous, on chante pas. Ça va être dur, ça.
Mais tu peux chanter.
Ah,
Une petite chose, quand vous parlez à 4, vous êtes à peu près à cette distance-là du micro. Si quand vous parlez et que vous vous rapprochez du micro, il ne faut surtout pas parler trop fort. Parce qu'en fait, le micro, il est réglé pour vous prendre quand vous être ici.
mais je peux rester là aussi. Hein.
Non, alors c'est plus joli quand vous êtes en face. Mais il faut juste pas parler
Dans
fort.
le cadre à part vous.
Voilà.
Ouais.
Donc nous, c'est ce qu'on voulait.
Il faut juste pas parler fort.
Ok.
Faut pas qu'il parle fort parce qu'on sature super vite en fait.
Oui, normalement.
Oui, j'ai
Voilà.
j'ai la voix qui porte,
Voilà,
accessoirement.
faut-
Du coup, c'est vous qui annoncez
Le Sekeleno.
le Sekeleno.
Oui.
Donc c'est nous qui
Donc
appuyons
nous-
sur le bouton. Donc nous, on a besoin d'une
Donc
phrase
nous,
claire,
dans notre minute 30 qu'on vous avait annoncé, en fait, il y a aussi l'annonce de Sekeleno.
Elle
j'ai
va
tout.
dire maintenant.
Donc je vais dire, en gros, très simplement, je vais dire, et pour moi c'est ça, blablabla. Ensuite je vais dire,
Merci.
juste avant qu'on chante la chanson, je remercie X. Et ensuite je vais dire, et maintenant, and now, let's all sing together the Sekeleno. Et là, the anthem of Geneva. Well, but just before I say, before singing our traditional victory song.
Tu vois, ensuite, il y aura ça sur l'écran.
Voilà.
Et la-
le
la
chœur
musique.
du Grand Théâtre.
Et l'audio qu'on envoie.
Et nous on peut pas chanter du coup. De Dion Sam. Pas trop. Mon Dieu, comme c'est haut.
Donc comme ça, vous savez quand est-ce qu'il va s'arrêter.
terminé, qu'est-ce qui se passe?
Alors voilà,
Le chant est terminé. La conduite.
Pendant que le chant est chanté, tu vas là.
D'accord.
Diane est la plus jeune.
Diane et Dinara. Voilà. Ah non, mais du coup en fait c'est moi.
C'est Juliette.
Ah c'est Julie, je pars. Ah
ouais, d'accord. Mais ensuite, ça veut dire que Jules, tu sois déjà de l'autre côté de la
ouais,
10 secondes avant la fin.
Donc moi je serai là. Ouais, mais du coup je sors du chant pendant la chanson.
Même pendant la chanson, Abdel, si tu me permets de couper, puisque c'est Diane qui vient à l'écran, il y aura la marmite, on enchaîne avec la marmite.
Oui, mais Juliette
C'est moi
annonce
qui
la
parle.
marmite. Et ensuite, les deux vont
Je suis
directement
encore
la
là, en fait
marmite.
je serai encore là.
Ok, très bien.
Exactement.
Donc toi tu restes là,
Ouais.
tu annonces la marmite, tu te mets à cette place-là ou...
Non, je vais là parce qu'il y aura Dinara du coup.
Elle parle,
Parce que
c'est
Dinara,
toi la plus jeune.
c'est pas moi, voilà.
Voilà, ça y est. Merci.
Et du coup c'est bien si t'es à droite parce que comme ça tu restes à droite
C'est ça.
et you come back here.
Ok, et ben c'est parfait. Donc toi tu annonces la marmite, tu parles ensuite.
Ladies and gentlemen, the moment you've all been waiting for.
Voilà, exactement. Et
Take to your...
vous enchaînez et vous venez autour de la marmite. Comme ceci. Parfait. Et puis après, vous... Comment?
Marmite, ça va.
Marmite will be here.
Then you break it with your hands and there are some gloves.
Du coup, je relance la vidéo, on se fait la fin.
Puis après j'annonce
On
la
peut
fin.
passer une fois en entier peut-être quand même.
On se fait la marmite une fois, c'est comme si elle était là, et puis on va voir comment ça se passe.
D'accord.
Ça vous va?
Ouais.
Donc on fait les 15 dernières minutes.
Ladies and gentlemen, the moment you've all been waiting for, the breaking of the chocolate cauldron. We trust that you all went to Migros to get your cauldron, sorry, your small cauldron, and you've been... Oula, ah je m'entends, cool. And that you've been eyeing it for a few days. Now it is time for the eldest and the youngest person to gather around the marmite. Est-ce qu'elles le font en même temps que moi ou pas? Ouais, c'est pas mal en fait. Si, when I say that, that might be the cue parce qu'on a toujours le 1m50.
Ah ouais, on peut enlever nos masques.
Est-ce qu'il y a un plan? That's the thing.
Oui, you can if there is a meter and a half.
But then,
But you have to come with gloves.
yes,
Oh,
but
yeah,
will
yeah,
you
okay. Oh, yeah, okay.
leave so we break marmite in front of everyone, or shall we will be staying still here?
So I'll be finishing there and I'll
So
be...
you invite us, we come here.
En fait, vous savez le problème, c'est que moi, si je parle... En fait, il faut que je sais pas où je dois me mettre parce que je suis devant la marmite.
C'est pas très grave, vous annoncez la marmite et ensuite vous laissez la place à la marmite qui sera derrière.
Ah ok, ouais, c'est ça. Donc
Ça ne dérange pas, c'est juste que on la verra pas avant la fin.
alors,
Et c'est ça qui est bien, c'est qu'il
Ouais,
y
justement,
aura un
ouais,
petit
ouais.
mystère.
ok, et donc ce qui se passe, c'est qu'en gros, moi je vais dire... so the phrase we have to say is ainsi périrent les ennemis de la République. This is how the enemies of the Republic perished. Et après, je sors du champ. Et là, vous dites 1, 2, 3. Ainsi périssent les ennemis de la République. Okay. So I explain the sentence and then I get out.
Et vous pouvez vous regarder.
Oh, sorry. Maybe I
Work
said
les masques,
together
on va
be-
enlever,
because we have a microphone here, so it's possible that you speak each other.
Okay.
So I say, you see the phrase on the screen? It would be written on the screen. I know you wrote that in your...
That was the idea.
That was the idea, but
It will not? Okay. So, don't forget to flip the top of your cauldron to not hurt your hand. And now the phrase you all have to say is ainsi périssent les ennemis de la République. This is how the enemies of the Republic perish, and then you smash the cauldron.
Ainsi périssent les ennemis de la République.
Okay, maybe I will finish by saying, like, I'll be here and I'll be like, Diane and Dinara, are you ready?
Yeah.
And then
Ainsi périssent les ennemis de la République. Voilà.
sinon,
Et puis après,
Juliette, c'est ça?
Non.
Juliette, si tu veux parler
Ouais.
pour présenter la marmite et la voir
dans le champ, ça c'est un peu vous qui décidez, tu peux te mettre sur le côté comme ça,
Ah, ok.
en disant,
Push it now.
et du coup tu dois lire ton texte ou tu vas l'apprendre ton
Non,
texte?
mais là, je le disais sans rien. Je le sais, là, c'est juste que
Ok.
j'ai la feuille.
Donc ça veut dire que tu peux aisément regarder la caméra comme je fais maintenant et parler au micro et on voit la marmite qui est juste derrière. Donc ça c'est possible. C'est possible de faire ça.
Après la marmite, là, tu
Voilà.
prends le micro.
Voilà, exactement. Oui, je viens. Voilà. Et
Voilà,
puis,
après la marmite.
j'ai dit.
Exactement.
So that's the end of our event. Let's hope that next year, in 2021, you'll be able to experience the real thing with the decor, the compagnie de 1602, and maybe even a fondue. Learn to make a fondue, and maybe be chosen to break the big marmite. We have a huge one, and we usually take one person from each continent. I'd like to thank very much this event couldn't have happened without Salman, Michael and Evelyn for their help, and Sky Night. I'd like to help them very much and our group of young volunteers. And we hope to see you next year. Afterwards, il y a déjà eu le chant, non en fait? Il y a déjà eu le chant, ouais. And
C'est le diaporama.
voilà, and afterwards you'll see the photos you see behind have been taken by Mr. Luc Buscarlet. He's our favorite and very faithful photographer who's been working with us for a long time, so you can see what happens in the old town.
Thank
Voilà.
you.
Ouais, thank you.
Bye bye. Et puis nous on enchaîne. Donc quand vous avez terminé, juste nous faire un petit. Il faut juste qu'on sache comment vous finissez. Parce que là, parce qu'on reviendra pas dans le direct, donc il faudra juste dire thank you and see you next year, quelque chose de genre.
We miss you and we miss our outings. We miss you, we miss our outings, and hope we will meet again next year.
Bye bye.
Okay?
Et puis nous on envoie le diaporama.
C'est
C'est le diaporama.
Oui, c'est ça le problème. Ouais, voilà. Ouais. Voilà, ouais. Faut pas que j'oublie. Alors si jamais j'oublie.
Bien ce que tu peux dire, si tu peux juste à la fin dire violin with pictures taken by Luc Buscarlet and the complete song.
And the complete song. Okay.
Et quand tu dis ça, tu dis have a nice evening
Voilà.
and see you next year at the Real Estate.
Oui, bon, ouais. Et maintenant ils ont dit hier.
Est-ce qu'on peut faire un test A à Z? Juste pour tout le monde tous ceux qui vont parler, n'oubliez pas de regarder dans la caméra. Oui, pas sur l'écran.
Et puis encore une chose pour vous, Zoélie, de ne pas être trop près. Vous étiez comme ça, on vous entend. Vous avez juste à être là. À cette distance-là, ça ira très bien. C'est plus naturel. C'est vraiment pour vous mettre une marque pour pas marcher dessus.
D'accord.
Là, ici, ça sera parfait.
Parfait, d'accord. Il faut que je me rappelle de regarder.
Ça vous
parce qu'on
va
on est
pour vous,
attiré
M.
par en
Salman?
bas, en fait,
Parfait.
Ouais.
Ici, on est bien, on voit, on est parfait. Ok? Très bien. Est-ce que vous voudriez qu'on lance le début, vous voudriez faire votre partie à vous avec les slides?
On fait un tout, ouais, voilà.
Ouais, je suis désolé, je suis un peu maniaque. Mais...
C'est vrai qu'on est attiré par l'écran.
Abdel me donnera l'ordre des ordi et puis moi je couperai, moi je vais suivre. Si tu me dis PC1, voilà, je vais sonner
Par contre, il faudra bien faire attention qu'il y a la marmite juste derrière vous. Hein. Faut pas buter le meuble, hein, parce que sinon...
sûrement.
On revient sur le direct. Ensuite, before we get into the evening activities, two important housekeeping information. Slide avec l'adresse. First, don't hesitate to write a message to our email address, welcome cagi, blah 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 blah. My colleague is monitoring the email account and will respond to you. La slide disparaît, on revient sur le direct. Second, please make sure you have the marmite, the local name of the Chick-fil-A close by. Many thanks to all our members. Le slide avec les membres. A big thanks as well to our volunteers and newcomers in the slide avec les membres du RDA. Slide avec le logo. Et puis, ensuite, Monsieur Salman, for the evening, special thanks goes to Migros. Ah oui, d'accord. En fait, il faudra attendre que Monsieur Salman avance Migros pour envoyer le slide à Migros. On va faire les enchaîner les vidéos à la suite. C'est un petit peu début. Ok.
Je fais qu'on soit comme ça,
on
revient.
Voilà. T'avances. Voilà. Et tu repars sur Migros. Ok. Voilà. And we are with you. Slide avec le Migros disparaît. Now I have the pleasure to hand over Mrs. Diane Borelli, who has been the présidente du Canal Network. Merci, chère Diane.
Je ne vais pas dire je suis Diane, c'est ça.
Je t'annonce.
Oui, je t'annonce.
Et ensuite, le système
Je vais commencer à
et on revient en direct. On revient en direct et puis après on n'a plus de slide. Ok.
Est-ce que je peux vous montrer chez vous
le film d'après, c'est
non, je
crois pas.
Si on avait des camarades qui bougeaient,
puis après, une fois que les exécutions sont faites, le Salman annonce les bénévoles et ça c'est tout. On refait tout.
Oui.
Ok, parfait.
Ok, on fait le tout. Vous êtes prêts?
Donc moi je vais en profiter pour celle-là de vous donner quelques indications. Normalement, vous avez vu à l'écran que nous on vous diffuse ce qu'on diffuse sur Internet. Donc quand vous êtes à l'image là, vous êtes à l'image sur Internet. Quand il y a des slides ou un film, c'est qu'il est diffusé sur Internet. Je vais essayer de penser à vous mettre le son des films pour que vous ayez... voilà. Si jamais vous n'entendez pas le son, c'est pas très grave, c'est moi qui n'ai pas appuyé sur le bon bouton. Mais je vais essayer d'y penser. Donc avant de commencer, tout le monde sera prêt. Pour les dispensations, ça je vous laisse regarder. Et puis voilà, on va essayer de lancer l'idée de la fin de livre. Ça vous va? Question? Non. Ok. Alors nous, on va attendre parce que là, on a lancé déjà la boucle, comme si on était une heure après. On a la boucle avec l'audio qui tourne. Donc nous, dès que vous êtes prêts, à 19h, on décide d'envoyer.
Juste ceux qui seront de l'autre côté la première fois, peut-être aller déjà là-bas, comme ça il y a le moins possible de déplacement. Moi, ce que je propose, c'est 19h1 ou 19h2, vous filmez la marmite, il y a encore personne et moi je viens directement comme ça.
Comme vous voulez, si vous voulez entrer.
Ouais, j'entre.
Pour nous, ça nous va.
On va pas l'amener là, ça sera derrière nous. Sinara, they won't be the children in front of us, so I will not be able to put my phone. So I will have the time somewhere else.
Do you think you can hold it in your hand?
For sure, but I'm going to try out.
dans 5, 4, 3,
Bonsoir and good evening. Thank you for having joined us this evening and welcome to our traditional evening of the Escalade. For reasons known to all of us, this year's Escalade will be a mixture of traditional celebration and state-of-the-art technology. Let's cross the fingers that technology will not fail us this evening. My name is Salman Bal, and I'm the director of the Geneva International Welcome Center, also known as cagi. My team and I are at your service to assist you and your family members in settling and integrating in Geneva. Before we get into this evening's activities, two important housekeeping information. First, don't hesitate to write a message to our email address should you have any questions during the event. The email address is shown on the screen. A colleague is monitoring the email account and will respond to you. Second, please make sure that you have the Marmite, the local name for the chocolate cauldron, close by. Ours is already here. Let me use this opportunity to thank all our members without whose support cagi wouldn't exist. Many thanks to all of them. A big thank also to our volunteers of the Newcomer Network of the Fondation pour Genève, who help us tremendously in organizing the excursions, lunchtime conferences, and other events throughout the year. For this evening, special thanks go also to Migros, who has kindly provided us the chocolate cauldron that you have with you. And now I have the pleasure to hand over to Miss Diane Zöli, who has been the president of the Newcomers Network for over 20 years. Diane has organized many Escalade evenings, but never any hybrid celebration. I would like to take the opportunity to thank Diane for all her work over the past 20 years. Merci beaucoup, chère Diane. Diane, you have the mic.
Thank you, Salman. Dear friends, dear newcomers, it's a very special year, and it's true that I've been president for over 20 years, and I just wanted to announce, I'm very happy to announce that as of January, Maître Juliette Van Berchem will be replacing me. She's a Genevoise and a lawyer, and so that I think the newcomer welcome will continue to shine and to welcome you warmly, organizing events, very special events like we've done for over 20 years. I'd also like to thank all my members, all the volunteers, some of whom have been with me for over 20 years, working at the cagi. And and in the name of our group, I'd like to I want you to know that how happy we are, despite of the very troubling circumstances, to be able to organize this event online today and at the Welcome Center. And it's truly wonderful to imagine you all in your home, that we're all together, even though you're in your homes safely, and with your chocolate marmite next to it, and we'll be able to break them together. We are very happy and honored that the Director General of the United Nations office in Geneva, Madame Tatiana Valovaya, has accepted to give us a short message.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, it is a great pleasure for me to address the traditional Fête de l'Escalade. While I was very much looking forward to participating in the celebrations in person again this year, I am deeply grateful to Centre d'accueil de la Genève Internationale for maintaining this annual tradition by bringing us together virtually this evening. Traditions play a fundamental role in societies across the globe. As a factor of stability, they allow us to embrace our roots and strengthen our participation in the society. Traditions also make it possible for newcomers to feel welcome and integrated into their new surroundings. This corresponds precisely to the spirit of tonight's event, which brings together the people of Geneva and representatives of the international community based in the city, including newcomers. I wish to take this opportunity to underline the essential role that cagi plays to facilitate the integration of new internationals in Geneva and as an efficient interface with civil society. Given the current public health crisis, this support is more needed than ever. On behalf of UN Geneva, I also wish to express my sincere gratitude to the Swiss authorities at all levels and to the city of Geneva for their unwavering support to our work. Sustaining the excellent collaboration with the host authorities is an imperative for International Geneva in order to maintain its position as a key international center for peace and global governance. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, this evening, as we commemorate the escalade, let us celebrate peace and reconciliation, fundamental values both for the United Nations and Geneva. Following the escalade in 1602, the guns were silenced and dialogue led to the conclusion of the Treaty of Saint-Julien on the 21st of July 1603, which established peace between Geneva and Savoie. More than ever, the need to maintain good relations between neighbors should be anchored in people's mind. The COVID-19 pandemic has once again demonstrated the fundamental importance of the cooperation among all the countries and regions. The cross-border cooperation between Switzerland and its neighbors is exemplary in this respect. The celebration of the 75th anniversary of the United Nations this year also provided us the opportunity to bring together the people of Geneva, International Geneva, and many others through various events organized together with the city of Geneva and the Swiss authorities at all levels. This anniversary gives us the opportunity to recommit to the values of solidarity, dialogue, and cooperation enshrined in the United Nations Charter and which the escalade embodies so well. Thank you very much, and I wish you a wonderful evening.
Many thanks to the Director General for these encouraging words. And now we have the pleasure to listen to the message of the Minister of Finance of the Republican Canton of Geneva, Ms. Nathalie Fontanet, who is also in charge of International Geneva.
Ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, it is my pleasure and privilege to participate to the traditional Fête de l'Escalade organized by the International Geneva Welcome Center. On behalf of the host authorities, I would like to extend a warm welcome to each and every one of you. I would also like to thank the cagi for maintaining this important event, although in a different format given the circumstances. Of course, I would have preferred to meet you in person and share this special evening together. I look forward to the next year's edition of this event in order to do so. La Fête de l'Escalade, as you probably have heard, is Geneva's most festive and exciting moment of the year. It commemorates the defeat of an attempt to conquer the city by the Catholic Duchy of Savoy back in 1602. The celebration usually includes a parade with traditional costumes, a running race through the old town, children and adults getting dressed up, vin chaud, and precious moment with family and friends. Although many parts of the celebration will not be possible this year, we at least get to keep the best of it, which is obviously the famous chocolate marmite. I understand that all of you are equipped with it, but please wait before eating it. Later in the program, you will have the chance to break it in the traditional Geneva's way. For many reasons now, La Fête de l'Escalade has also become the moment where the host authorities, I mean the federal, cantonal and municipal authorities, get the chance to meet and greet the newcomers to International Geneva as well as their families. It is my honor to do so tonight and to tell you how much we appreciate having you here in Geneva. In line with our tradition and hospitality, federal and local authorities strive to make your establishment as easy and as pleasant as possible. In this regard, I would like to acknowledge the great work done by the cagi and to thank them for their commitment. International Geneva is a major aspect of our canton's history, heritage and activities. It is also our pride and part of our DNA. As such, we must take care and look after its most valuable assets, namely the people that work in these many organizations. And this is you, ladies and gentlemen. We hope that our various welcome entities, such as cagi, help you to feel at home. I'm convinced that once you feel at home, you will better focus on what is important for you or organization to make the world a better place for all. This year has been a very particular year in Geneva, as well as anywhere else in the world. It is not the easiest time to settle in a new place and to get to discover the local life. I really hope that despite the challenges we are all facing, you enjoy being here and that you will soon be able to make the best of our beautiful city and region. Thank you for your attention and belle fête de l'escalade à toutes et tous.
Minister Fontanet for her kind message. Now we have the pleasure to listen to Dinara, Juliette, Louise and Stephen, 4 volunteers of the Newcomers Network, who will explain us what the Escalade is all about. What did happen 418 years ago in the night of 11 to 12 December 1602?
On December 11, 1602, the darkest night of the year, the Duke Charles-Emmanuel of Savoy decides to launch an attack on Geneva, an independent and prosperous republic in the middle of Europe and birthplace of the Reformed religion under the leadership of Calvin. The Duke's goal is to take back the city, make it his capital, and reintroduce the Catholic faith. He's also convinced that his troops will come back with the famous gold held in the Geneva vaults. That night, a cold wind is blowing. The enemies march silently towards Geneva, carrying big and heavy ladders, trying to stay as quiet as possible. You have to remember that at that time, the city was surrounded by huge walls, which you can still see parts of today from the Place Neuve.
Having crossed the Arve River Bridge, the soldiers gather at 2 o'clock in the morning at Plain-Palais, just in front of the walls of Geneva. They are ready to climb the walls and surprise the Genevans during their sleep. Fortunately, a Geneva patrol officer hears some noise and finds himself nose to nose with the Savoyards, who are already climbing the ladders. Isaac Mercier, a brave Genevan, cuts the rope holding the harrow of the Porte Neuve entrance, which crashes down, preventing the enemy to invade the city. The tocsin of the Saint-Pierre Cathedral, which we hope you have already visited, starts ringing loudly to warn the folks. The citizens, now awakened, grab their weapons and rush outdoors, still in their pyjamas, to repel the assailants. The battle rages between the Savoyards and the Genevans, who fight with the energy and the courage of despair. A good number of newcomers to Geneva were also amongst the fighters. While the battle takes place close to Port-Neuf, everything is calm and peaceful near the river Rhône.
Mother Rayaume, who lives above the Porte de la Monnaie, is preparing in a large cooking pot a tasty vegetable soup that will be eaten at dawn. The noise of her stirring the soup and that of the torrential river Rhône covers the battle noises and the sound of the cathedral's tocsin. Suddenly, she hears shouting and runs to a window. With a lantern, she sees a man, all dressed in black, who carefully advances very slowly and silently on the street below. Mother Royaume runs into the kitchen to fetch the heavy cooking pot. She throws on his head the pot full of boiling soup. The man falls down, yelling of pain, and agonizes. Dame Piaget, another memorable figure of the escalade, pushes a heavy wardrobe behind her door to barricade herself from the Savoyard. The story tells that the strength of several men was needed the next day to put it back in its place.
Downtown, the brave Genevois are still fighting the enemy with a fierce will to win. A lucky cannon shot hits the ladders. They crumble, taking down with them every enemy soldier. Eventually, the Genevois repel the enemy out of the city. On the morning of December the 12th, the battle is over. Geneva and its inhabitants are finally safe. Filled with great happiness, the Genevois celebrate the victory and walk on the ramparts of the city, where a scaffold is raised and where the prisoners will be hanged. The legend tells that Théodore de Bèze, a very deaf 83-year-old disciple of Calvin, slept peacefully during the battle and became aware of what had happened only when he saw the executioner hang the prisoners and traitors the next morning. Since that day, we, Genevois, celebrate religiously this event, which ensured the independence of our city by dressing up in costumes and breaking a chocolate cauldron. So, Stephen, what does the escalade really mean to you?
For me, the escalade is all about family and friend. It's being together, sharing kind memories around a bowl of soup or a nice glass of blue wine. And what about you?
For me, it's all about the run around the old city. I try to do it every year, and it's the favorite moment of the year.
For me, the escalade is all about the Compagnie 1062 that parades through the city and ends its parade in front of St. Peter's Cathedral in front of a big picolet. And for you, Jules?
For me, I would say it's seeing all the children going to school dressed up in their favorite costume in honor of the Genevans that were in their pajamas when they were fighting. Well, enough said. We are very excited for you all to discover all the wonderful events that happen in Geneva around this time of year. And just before singing our traditional victory song, we would like to thank Gabrielle Lodzijenski for the beautiful drawings that you saw during our presentation. She lent them, the drawings were made by her grandfather, who used to do the presentation in our place. Well, thank you very much, Gabrielle. And now let's all sing together the Sekeleno.
Qui
the moment you have all been waiting for, the breaking of the chocolate cauldron. We hope you've all gone to Migros and fetch your chocolate cauldron, and now it is time for the oldest and the youngest of your family to gather around the table to break the chocolate cauldron together. For us, it will be Dinara and Diane, who are already ready, as I can see. Now, the phrase you have to say before smashing the cauldron is Ainsi périssent les ennemis de la République, which means this is how the enemy of the Republic, perish. And now, well, Dinara and Diane, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Ainsi périssent les ennemis de la République. So let's hope that next year you'll be able to come to the party that we organize, and it'll be the usual thing with the Compagnie de 1602, the decor, the fifers and drums, and it'll carry on as usual. Let's hope. I'd like to thank everybody who installed this. That did this organization, especially Salman Bal, who used his creativity to organize this, as well as Michael and Evelyn, as well as Sky Knight, which is really wonderful. I'd like to, afterwards you'll be seeing photos done by Monsieur Luc Bustgarlet, who's one of our faithful photographers, and you'll see exactly what happens in the Old Town. Unfortunately, this year it's closed, so there's not going to be anything, but at least you'll have an idea. And you'll hear the rest of the song of Sekeleno, with the music will accompany the slides. And we miss you, and we miss our outings, and we hope that we'll meet again next year.
Si